She was starting over, a new job, a new town, new home. The ink on the divorce papers weren't even dry yet when she decided to move. She thought moving 2 states over was far away enough from her ex, but she was wrong. Her marriage had always been rocky, but when her husband started drinking more, his temper also grew. Many nights ended with him passing out on the couch, holding one of his damn cigars, and her locking herself in the bedroom to prevent a fight. And there was always a fight. The best thing about her new house was that he wasn't in it. She loved coming home to the old wood floors and that lived-in feeling that a house of over 100 years old provided. She got a good price on it because the estate sat empty for several years before she bought it. It was fully furnished, so moving in took no time at all. Just as you would expect an old house to have, was the squeaky stairs and creaking floors. She knew a house that old would make noises as it settled over time, but she often heard what she thought was a conversation in the middle of the night. 2 people talking like they were sitting in her living room. She never thought much about it. She wasn't the type to believe in things that go bump in the night, until that night. The night he found where she lived. Her ex-husband Sam had tracked her down in that small town and was up to no good. She was exhausted and had just filled the tub with warm water, ready to relax and take a bath after a long work week. She had 1 foot in the tub when she heard her car alarm go off. After a couple curse words, she grabbed her robe and headed downstairs to find her keys. They were gone. Her keys that she had always left on the table by the front door. She knew she had another set in the junk drawer in the kitchen. She ran and got them and silenced the alarm. What could have made the alarm go off, she thought. Damn neighbor kids playing ball in the street at this hour? With nothing but the hot bath on her mind, she ran upstairs to finally relax in the tub. She walked into the bathroom, only to find the tub empty of water. At this point, she started to panic. First the car alarm, then this. What is going on, she said to herself. Then she smells it, the scent of her ex-husband's cigar. She froze in place, wondering if it could really be him. She didn't smoke, and the house didn't smell of cigars when she moved in. Quietly, she reached for the bathroom door and locked it. She was used to locking doors when he was around and had been drinking. She put her ear to the door and tried to hear for any signs of him. And there it was. The conversation she had heard many nights before, like 2 people talking in her living room. At this point, she had had enough and ran downstairs. As she stepped off the last stair, she felt a hand grab her arm, and that's when she saw her ex-husband standing in her dining room, holding her tightly around the arm. She was about to scream when the lights went off and she felt her arm drop to her side. She didn't stand there and wait to see why Sam had let go of her. She just ran. The lights came back on, and she looked back to see her ex struggling to stand up. He started yelling, "Who's here and who the hell hit me in the head?" She didn't know what he was talking about. No one else was in the house. Before he had a chance to get stable and on his feet, she ran to the back door, but it was dead-bolted. She struggled to unlock it, but he was too fast. He grabbed her around the waist and pulled her away from the door. Out of nowhere, a man with a beard hit him straight in the jaw, and Sam went out cold and hit the floor. She looked around, and the man was gone and nowhere to be found. She remembered having zip ties in her junk drawer, so she grabbed them and tied his hands behind his back. She was not giving him a chance to wake up again and attack her. She called 911 and told them there was an intruder. She was praying they would get to her house before Sam became conscious again. She went to wait by the front door when she heard the conversation in the living room again. As she turned to see if the TV was on, she saw them, a man and a woman, sitting on the couch talking, as if they had no idea she was there. Just as she was ready to ask who they were, the lady looked up at her, smiled, and winked. The man turned around and said, "You'll always be safe in this house, young lady." Then they suddenly disappeared, nowhere to be found. The police showed up and took Sam into custody. They didn't believe her when she told them she was the one that hit him in the jaw and knocked him out. She might be a woman, but she was used to defending herself against Sam. She knew she didn't have to worry about him coming back again because he was white as a ghost as he was led out to the cruiser. That night, as she turned the lights off downstairs, she said a final thank you to the ghost that had been sitting on her couch an hour before. She knew that they would be back tomorrow night to continue their conversation. Sam later tried to press charges against the man who knocked him out that night, but there was never any proof that a man was there. You can't prove what you don't see.